What is going on, guys? So today we are going to be working on the pre-runner again. Today we are going to try to get it to start right. So since, I don't know, whatever, I made some changes, now it has a really hard time cranking over. And so I think I've narrowed it down to just my janky wiring to the starter itself and probably not having a good enough ground. So we're going to go get some new battery cables that are actually long enough so I don't have to run like 3 or 4 different cables to the starter. So I think that'll probably fix the problem, or at least help. And then we're also going to put the coilover back in that we rebuilt the other day. And sometime today, the new rebuild kit, which hopefully has the wrist pin in it, is supposed to show up. So hopefully we'll be able to get the pre-runner going now, and that'll show up, and then we'll be able to get the dirt bike put back together. So the plan is to take the pre-runner out tomorrow morning, hopefully, as long as I can get it to start. So the issue it's been having is it'll start once when it's cold, and then once it's hot it won't crank at all. So let me see if I can show you guys pretty much what it's doing. So it's got 2 brand new 1000 amp batteries in it, which should have plenty of juice to crank this thing over. So here's what it does. Yeah, of course that time it starts immediately. So yeah, like I said, I made some changes, so it is better than it was, but it still has an issue. But yeah, basically what it does, you'll turn the key and it'll just whop, 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 and then sometimes it'll pick up and whop, 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 and then it'll finally get to a point where it can start. Other times it'll just whop and sit there, and the starter will not turn the motor over anymore. And so normally when it's cold it'll start just fine, like it just did, because it is cold. And then once it's warm it won't crank at all. So let's see if it'll start right up again. There you go. See, so that's kind of what it does. Yeah, so it is better. I think now it would pretty much start no matter what, as long as the batteries have enough juice. At least when it's cold. So, but that's not always the case. So we're going to try to remedy that. So I'm going to measure, see how long of battery cables I need. I'm just going to try to do the positive side for now to the starter, because I'm thinking it's probably going to be over $50 just for the one cable, and I'll see if that completely fixes the problem. If it doesn't, then we'll go back and we'll get a bigger negative cable as well. Yeah, so I'm going to measure, run to the store, and we'll be back. Alrighty, so got the new battery cable in. I added another ground cable off the kill switch. It seems to help the problem. It's not completely gone. Sometimes it'll still struggle to crank over, but eventually it does, and it does start. So hopefully I won't have the same issues that I keep having, where we get to wherever we're going and I shut it off and it will not start again. So yeah, so we've got whole mess of wires that I got to clean up now, but here's the new one that runs all the way up to the starter. So before didn't have one that was long enough, so I had this one going from the starter into the cab to this one, which went back closer to the battery, and then I don't know, there's another one somewhere that went from the battery to that one. So I've eliminated 3 wires by adding that one, and then off this kill switch I had one, if I can get in there, this little guy right there going to the roll cage, and then I added this one too because these wires in that switch get really hot when it's sitting there trying to crank. So I think I also have an issue where I'm just not running enough current through the ground. So hopefully we can get by for now how it is, and then eventually I'll go back and get a new thicker ground cable and probably hopefully figure out something for that. I think one issue could be is that this switch just can't get enough current through it. I don't know how accurate that is, and I don't know a way to test that, but just a theory that switch might be the restriction on the ground side. But so now I'm gonna start getting this coilover back in where it goes, and then I'll go ahead and check all of our fluids, make sure this thing will be good to go for tomorrow. Ooh, radiator's hot, don't touch it. Alright, so Amazon just came, bicycle piston kit, and new gasket for the carb on the 450, because the one that came in the carb rebuild kit was, I don't know, a little bit too long, and so it wouldn't fit, and so it just leaks out of the bowl because it's the bowl gasket. But now we got our fancy little Wiseco bag again. I already checked it. This one does have the wrist pin, so we'll get started on that in a little bit. Alrighty guys, so back out here in storage, and if you've been watching the channel for a little bit, you know that means one thing, and that there's something wrong with the truck, and this is what it is. Turn the screen around. So we ripped off 3 of the studs, opened out all the holes in the rim. This stud is just completely crooked and the threads are too messed up to get a lug nut on it. This one we were luckily able to get a lug nut back on it. But yeah, you know, the drum cover and all that's gone. Tire's flat from sitting here for a few days. But yeah, so I'm going to see if we can't hammer those guys out. I have new ones, which I'll probably put in tomorrow, but we'll see if we can get those ones out today. Pinch my fingers. Alright, so there's those guys. There's the super bent one. Oh, we actually had to straighten that one to get the rim back on. This one, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it's decently bent too. Oh, cool. So those are out. Alright, so Here are the shiny new ones. They're from, what is it, Dorman? Yeah, Dorman. Alright, I have to rotate the axle tomorrow to get the last one in there. Alright, I'll give you guys a little bonus clip before we head out. Sharp. Let's just switch on. Flip this around. Yeah, so the truck is definitely loud. Just in case you guys forgot how loud this thing was. Alright, we're back in the truck. It's like 105 out. So yeah, like I said, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of time today. I've got to go to work today. So, just came out here for this morning to mess with it. But tomorrow I'll bring the air compressor and the impact and probably a little portable generator and impact all those studs back on. And then we should be pretty good. There's another issue that I'll show you guys probably tomorrow when we get it back in the garage. Alrighty guys, so we got the truck back in the garage. It's got wheel studs. Sorry I didn't record all that going on, but it was just easier not to. So now that we've got it in the garage, we've got another large issue. Let me see if you guys will be able to tell or not. So those two bars right there and there have that bar right there. They bolts in between them to hold them. So the whole engine cage tweaked. This side went all the way up and is resting right there on the top of the firewall, where that one is, you know, much lower. So we're gonna have to pull the engine and try to bend the engine cage back, because what we've got going on now is, because both sides kind of collapsed in, so that moved the bump stops a little bit on both sides. So that bump stop actually misses where it needs to hit now, because that whole thing kind of leaned down and this one went up. So yeah, so that'll be another project. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but we did get the starting issue fixed. The truck does start fine now, even when it's hot. It does still want to overheat, which I haven't quite figured out why. And then updates on the dirt bikes. Rebuilt the 250, it's got a new top end in it. Started up once, seems to run fine, so that's good. 450 doesn't run, I need to rebuild the carb in it. So I filmed some of rebuilding the 250, but only honestly like half of it, so not enough to make its own video. Yeah, so I think that'll probably be it for this one, guys. The next one will be pulling the motor, trying to fix the engine cage, putting it back together, and then hopefully it'll be good again. But yeah, so that's it for this one, guys. Later.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's